All right, you guys. So like, share, subscribe as y'all come in the building. Coming here to give you guys this big time update on Karmelo Anthony, his newly appointed judge, who is a retired Kaufman County District Judge by the name of Michael Chitty. He faces a strict legal deadline of Monday, August the 24th, to decide whether Karmelo Anthony's murder conviction and 35-year prison sentence will stand or be thrown out for a new trial. Now, that fast-moving deadline is triggered by Texas state law, which puts post-trial motions on a very tight schedule. Now, basically on Wednesday, Senior Judge Sid Harrell officially removed the original trial judge, John Rose Jr., from this case. Now, John Rose Jr. gave a televised news interview just 2 days after Karmelo Anthony was sentenced, and basically stated that the jury got it right. Karmelo Anthony's, new legal team, right? His new legal team tore that up in the appeals process with a lot of other things. They tore that up. Let's just be honest, man. They tore that all the way up, and that really helped them in court. You know what I mean? Now, also, you had Judge Harrell, who came and took over, and he ruled that a reasonable outside observer could question, John Roach's fairness and impartiality after making those public comments. Now, retired Judge Michael Chitty was immediately assigned to take over and handle the request for a new trial. Now, today, the judge held an all-day hearing at the Collin County Courthouse to listen to arguments for a retrial. Now, Karmelo Anthony's legal team, led by Russell Wilson, argued that the original June trial was unfair due to several major issues. The improper jury instructions. They claimed that the jury was not given the right legal guidance. Strict courtroom rules. They also argued that Judge John Roach improperly limited the public and blocked cameras from the courtroom and blocked testimony. They claimed that prosecutors in unfair court environments prevented Karmelo Anthony from fully testifying that he acted in self-defense. That's important because you had these Weaver Wonders running around here saying, oh, he didn't do it. I don't think he did it. No, his lawyer says he did it. It's in self-defense, ma'am. Take the weave off. All y'all, take the weaves off and sit down somewhere. And stop coming on the internet capping. When I told y'all, he should have had a self-defense. But y'all run around here trying to have your cake and eat it too. Oh, no, he didn't. I don't think he did it. I think it said an M. I think it was somebody. I think you need to sit down and be quiet. So the first assistant district attorney, Bill Worski, pushed back. He argued that the trial was completely ethical and that defense lawyers originally agreed to the trial rules and that Anthony received a perfectly fair trial, is what he said, right? As we all know, Karmelo went on to get convicted, and a lot of information was held out of that court, like the arrest, the racist graffiti arrest for Austin Hunter Metcalf. They had witnesses that were going to come in and testify that they were bullied by, and you know what I'm saying, they were going to testify to the violence and bullying of them being victims of Austin Hunter Metcalf. They were also going to testify. You had testimony that was going to come into court showing their school disciplinary history. So all that was going to be brought into the trial, but some secret under the table backdoor agreement held that out. Now, because Judge Chitty only has a few days until the Monday deadline, he must review the trial records immediately. Now, if he grants the motions by Monday, right, Karmelo Anthony's current conviction will be erased and the case will start completely over with a brand new trial. If he denies the motion or does not make a ruling by Monday, the 35-year prison sentence stays in place and Karmelo Anthony's team will have to take their case to a regular appeals court. What does that mean, right? Now, so if he denies the motion, right, the sentence will stay in place and the legal team will have to move their fight to a formal appeals court, right? So that means no immediate changes. Karmelo Anthony will remain in prison, serve a 35-year sentence. That means that the motion is dead. The temporary request for a quick local redo of the trial is over, right, officially. And that means that the case will move to a higher court, which means a court of appeals. And the defense team will file a formal appeal with the 5th Court of Appeals in Dallas. And then there will be a new panel of judges will look at the entire trial to see if legal mistakes were made. And then the defense will use the exact same arguments they raised this week, such as the original judge's public interview, strict courtroom rules, and block testimony to try to convince the higher court that the trial was unfair. Now, that's a much slower process. Now, unlike the current emergency deadline that expires on Monday, A standard appeal takes a very long time, right? So both sides will spend months writing long legal papers called briefs and arguing back and forth before a decision is made. Now, if Judge Chitty accepts the motion on Monday and Karmelo Anthony's conviction and 35-year prison sentence, that will be completely erased and the case will start over from scratch with a brand new trial, you guys. So the clean slate means legally it will be as if the June trial never happened. Karmelo Anthony will go back to being legally innocent of the crime until a new jury decides otherwise. Judge Chitty, right, or another judge will oversee a completely new trial with a brand new group of jurors. Both sides will have to present their evidence, call witness, and make their arguments all over again. Karmelo Anthony's legal team will get another opportunity to argue that he acted in self-defense, this time without the strict courtroom restrictions they complained about in the first actual trial. Karmelo Anthony will be moved out of state prison system and back to a local county jail. His defense attorneys will highly likely ask the judge to set a bond bail. If the judge approves it and the family can pay it, Karmelo Anthony will be released from jail to wait for his new trial at home. The Collin County District Court's Attorney's Office will have to decide whether to push forward and try Karmelo Anthony for a new murder case a second time. And sometimes when a new trial is granted, both sides will try to negotiate a plea bargain to avoid going through a full second trial, which means that Karmelo Anthony could get some light work in a plea deal, right? That happens a lot, right? Now, let's talk about the judge that's going to be deciding whether or not he gets a new case right now, Michael Chitty, right? Now, he's a highly experienced Texas legal veteran who spent more than 50 years working as an attorney and as a district judge. He has a long history of handling massive caseloads and has links to one of the most infamous true crime stories in Texas history. He's an SMU graduate. He's a lifelong Texan who's earned both his undergraduate degree and his law degree from Southern Methodist University in Dallas. He became a licensed lawyer in 1973 and spent 30 years working as a private attorney in Terrell, Texas, handling all types of cases, including criminal, civil, and family law, right? In January of 2004, then Governor Rick Perry appointed him as a Republican to be the very first judge of the newly created 422nd District Court in Kaufman County. He went on to win re-election 4 times. During his 17 years on the bench, he presided over more than 17,000 cases. He helped create the Kaufman's drug court and mental health diversion programs. These programs focus on treatment, and he chose not to run for re-election, officially retired at the end of 2020. However, he remained on the state's official list for senior judges who could step in and handle emergency cases like this one, right? So his past career includes a shocking connection to the lawyers currently fighting over the Karmelo Anthony case. In 2012, Judge Chitty presided over a trial where a local official named Eric Williams was convicted of stealing county computer monitors. The conviction cost Williams his job and law license. Prosecutors wanted jail time, but Judge Chitty sentenced him to probation instead. Now you have murderers. Furious, over losing his job. Eric Williams, he launched a horrific revenge plot in 2013, and he unalived Kaufman County Prosecutor Mark Hayes and District Attorney Mike McLean and McLean's wife Cynthia. Now, because Chitty handled the original theft case and was a potential witness, he had stepped down from the murder trial. Eric Williams was eventually convicted of capital murder and sentenced to death. Now, the 2 special prosecutors who went after Williams were for those murders were Bill Worski and Toby Shook. Today, those exact 2 lawyers are facing each other in a Karmelo Anthony case. Worski is the lead prosecutor, and Toby Shook is one of Anthony's defense lawyers, right? This is a wild situation, man. Wild situation, man. So he's widely seen as an exceptionally fair, balanced, and highly respected trial judge. And because he spent decades handling thousands of diverse cases, his reputation is built on careful, measured approach to rather than extreme, unpredictable rulings, right? So basically, local defense attorneys who have practiced in North Texas for decades describe him as a stellar example of fairness. Following his appointment to the Karmelo Anthony case, area defense lawyers publicly praised him, with some calling him the best trial court judge they have ever appeared in front of during their long careers. Now, the legal community views his appointment out of retirement as highly positive move because he has no political ties to Collin County or the original trial. He is trusted to provide an entirely neutral review of the facts. Now, he has handled some serious criminal cases. He gained a reputation for being willing to give nonviolent offenders a second chance. He actively helped build Kaufman County's drug court and mental health diversion programs to favor treatment over automatic prison time. Now, in 2012, when local official Eric Williams was convicted of stealing county computer monitors, the judge pushed heavily for jail time. Prosecutors pushed heavily for jail time, but Judge Chitty chose a more measured, non-aggressive judgment, sentencing him to probation instead of prison. Now, then he went on, like I told y'all, to unalive those peoples, and then he got the death penalty after that. So that was a bad decision by the judge, but he tried to help the dude, right? And so unlike the original judge, John Roach Jr., who faced backlash for defending the jury's verdict on television, Judge Chitty has a strict history of letting his courtroom rulings speak for themselves. He doesn't comment to the media about active cases, which satisfies the defense team's desire for absolute fairness and zero public bias, right? And that's something that's going to be major for everybody watching this, this whole case. So, also, I'm trying to think if I can think of anything else to tell you guys. Let me think. Now, Judge Chitty, he has the decisions on Monday, right? But the defense team will almost certainly try to get the trial moved to a different jurisdiction if possible, right? So if a new trial is granted by Judge Chitty, the case will officially reset back to Collin County where the original trial took place. However, because of the massive local media coverage, protests, and death threats reported by both families, Karmelo Anthony's defense team will highly likely file a special request called a motion for change of venue. Now, to successfully move the trial out of Collin County, the defense lawyers must prove to the judge that the local community is too biased. They would argue that the pretrial publicity the case has received, continuous local television and media coverage, and the public passion, meaning the intense community protests and social media outrage, make it impossible to find 12 random jurors in the county who haven't already formed an opinion. So basically how this move will work is if Judge Chitty agrees that Collin County is too biased for a fair trial, he has a few options under the Texas law. He can move the whole trial. He can officially transfer the entire case to a neighboring or nearby county court, or he can import a jury. He can keep the trial in Collin County courthouse, but bring a fresh jury panel from a whole different county to listen to the evidence. Now, if he denies it, then the case can't be moved to another county. The trial stage is over, and the entire matter will immediately go to formal appeals in Dallas to review the paperwork, right? So, I forgot about I forgot to tell y'all about the plea deal options. So if Judge Chitty, if he accepts like the motion, you guys, on Monday and erases the 35-year sentence from Karmelo Anthony, Collin County District Attorney's Office is going to face a tough decision. Now, they're we'll have to figure out if they're going to spend a lot of money and time on a new controversial second trial, or are they going to offer Karmelo Anthony a plea bargain, right? Which could include a manslaughter option. So during the first trial, the jury was allowed to consider the lesser charge of manslaughter, but they chose a murder conviction. In a new deal, the prosecutors might offer to let Karmelo Anthony plead guilty to manslaughter in exchange for a significantly shorter prison sentence, such as 10 to 15 years instead of 35. All right? Both sides can negotiate a capped agreement where Karmelo agrees he is guilty, but the state promises his new sentence will not exceed a specific number of years. Or Karmelo Anthony's new legal team, led by veteran lawyer Russell Wilson, could have a much more power to negotiate a better deal because they know exactly what the evidence the prosecutors have against them. Right? So, man, bro. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I try to give y'all the best breakdown you're going to get online out of anybody about this situation. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all let me know what y'all feel. Peace.